Do you want to regain your focus, feel lighter, more directed, and gain greater control over your own life? Then stop trying to manage everything at once and start paying attention to what's disordered within you. It's not the number of tasks that exhausts you. It's the flood of formless thoughts, postponed decisions, and unresolved emotions. Your mind becomes like a cluttered room. You know you need to leave, but you can't find the keys. Nothing functions properly when everything is out of place, and the Stoics knew this well. They taught that before attempting to change the world outside, you must first organize the world within. So the first step isn't to run faster, it's to clean up, to open space, to learn how to eliminate noise. A clear mind is like a river returning to its natural course. It carries away stagnation and creates movement. In this video, you'll learn 10 Stoic attitudes, powerful practices that act as an internal cleansing process, dissolving what weighs you down, organizing what matters, and restoring your center. Before we begin, make your first practical move. Write in the comments below. Today, I choose clarity. This simple phrase may seem small, but it's like opening a door. Because when you choose clarity, you stop feeding confusion. Let's begin. 1. Eliminate distractions. Have you noticed how nearly impossible it is to stay silent today? Even when your body stops, your mind keeps racing, trying to solve, anticipate, and control. We live in a world that never stops calling us. But the loudest noise isn't external, it's inside. It's the endless loop of thoughts, fears that return, and comparisons that repeat themselves. The phone is just a visible symptom of something deeper, a mind afraid to stop, because stopping means feeling. The Stoics already understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "He who lives distracted from himself is far from everything that truly matters." He wasn't speaking only of external noise, he was warning against internal chaos, that constant need to be busy, to avoid confronting our inner emptiness. Distraction is flight disguised as motion. We flee silence because it shows us what needs to change. We flee the present because it demands awareness. We flee ourselves because peace requires effort, and that's why you feel tired, even if you haven't done anything. Your mind spends energy trying to control the uncontrollable, solving problems that don't exist yet, avoiding what only time can resolve. This fatigue isn't due to lack of strength, it's excess dispersion. Epictetus said, "If you do not govern your mind, it will govern you." And the modern world reinforces this constantly, training you to react, not reflect, to fill silence, not understand it. But there is immense power in doing the opposite. When you choose to pause, breathe, and not respond immediately, you reclaim command of your soul. The silence you've been avoiding is precisely where clarity is born. There, excess dissolves, and truth appears. Eliminating distractions isn't about isolating yourself from the world, it's about seeing it clearly again. It's choosing quality over quantity, presence over noise, depth over speed. Because every time you return to yourself, the world regains meaning. Here is your practice. Choose one moment each day, just 10 minutes, and turn everything off. No phone, no music, no notifications, no conversations. Stay in silence. Observe what arises within you. If discomfort appears, don't run. That feeling is the sound of your mind coming home. As the poet Rumi said, "Silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation." This is the state that transforms your focus. It's the first training for full presence. It's the initial step to reclaiming what silence has taken from you, your clarity, your energy, and your peace. 2. Rebuild your way of living. You cannot build a new life with the same habits that created the old one. The human mind is like a river. If you don't change its course, it will keep flowing along the same worn-out path, even if you wish to reach a different sea. Neuroscience confirms what the Stoics knew centuries ago. Every repeated thought becomes a neural pathway. The more you travel it, the more automatic it becomes. Therefore, transforming your life isn't just about willpower, it's about reprogramming how your brain reacts, thinks, and chooses. And that reprogramming begins when you stop living on autopilot and take conscious command of your awareness. Seneca said, "Life is like a play. It doesn't matter how long it lasts, but how well it's performed." That phrase is a powerful reminder. The great work of your existence isn't on the stage, it's in the character you choose to play each day. If you don't consciously claim that role, your mind will default to the old script. Rebuilding your way of living is an act of awareness and presence. It's turning routine into ritual, habit into choice, repetition into growth. It's understanding that real change doesn't come from time, it comes from direction. Time alone heals nothing. It's what you do within time that brings transformation. Think of it this way: every decision you make is an instruction to your brain, either to reinforce an old path or create a new one. Each time you repeat a behavior that no longer serves you, you strengthen the past. But when you choose to act differently, even for a moment, you create space for a new future to emerge. There is no fresh beginning without internal conflict. Your brain always prefers the familiar, even if it hurts. That's why change feels exhausting, but also why it liberates. Growth isn't about starting from zero, it's about continuing with awareness. It's using pain as raw material, failure as learning, and the past as fuel. Carl Jung said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." And that's exactly it. You are not defined by your past, you are shaped by your choices moving forward. So here's your practice. Pick one area of your life and change one small habit that holds you back. It could be waking up earlier, walking without headphones, writing down your thoughts, or simply breaking a cycle you recognize. The size of the change doesn't matter, your awareness does. Each conscious gesture builds a new neural connection. Write in the comments, "Today, I choose to rebuild myself." Because this phrase isn't symbolic, it's the first command your mind receives to rewrite its story. Life renews itself the instant you stop being a consequence and start becoming a cause. 3. Make discipline your ally. How many times have you known exactly what you needed to do, but simply didn't do it? You had the plan, the goal, the desire, but you missed the action, not from laziness, but because your mind has learned to confuse comfort with well-being. Our era glorifies motivation, but it's discipline that sustains transformation. Motivation is fleeting fire, intense but unstable. Discipline is the steady flame that warms even when the wind blows cold. The Stoics called this self-mastery. Epictetus said, "No man is free until he learns to master himself." That is the essence of freedom. Not doing whatever you want, but doing what you should, even when you don't want to. Neuroscience explains this. The brain seeks immediate rewards and avoids discomfort. But discipline is the bridge between short-term pleasure and long-term results. When you act despite resistance, your brain learns a powerful lesson. Effort can bring fulfillment. This is how consistency circuits are formed. Every repeated action, guided by purpose, becomes a neural pillar of strength. Discipline is not punishment, it's a form of respect. Respect for your purpose, your goals, and the precious time life has given you. Without discipline, time slips through your fingers like sand, leaving behind regret. Each time you honor your commitment, you grow stronger. Every workout completed when your body begs rest. Every hour of study while the world distracts. These are seeds planted in the soil of constancy, and when difficulty comes, it's that harvest which sustains you. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "Do what must be done, even if it hurts, even if it seems small. Virtue lies in firm action, not in waiting for the perfect moment." And that is the secret. Discipline is quiet, but its results speak loudly. You stop getting lost to impulse and advance step by step, until success becomes inevitable. The turning point is realizing Discipline isn't rigidity, it's practiced love. It's what turns intention into progress and desire into achievement. Whoever disciplines themselves doesn't live by rules, they live by purpose. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. That is the core of discipline, repeating the right things until they become second nature, until virtue stops being effort and becomes identity. This is how true strength is born, not from mood, but from decision. So make discipline your greatest ally, and let your life cease existing only in your head, and finally become concrete action. 4. Transform your financial life. Have you ever felt like you're running endlessly, but never arriving? Money flows in and out as if it had a life of its own. No matter how hard you try, your emotional balance always seems negative. But the truth is simple. Your financial life is a mirror of your inner state. If there's confusion within, there will be disorder without. It's not about numbers. It's about awareness. You won't change your bank account until you change the mental pattern guiding your decisions. The Stoics knew this. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in the Roman Empire, said, "He is not poor who has little, but he who desires more than he needs." He understood that true wealth isn't measured by possessions, but by mastery over your desires. Because when desire rules, money becomes your master, and you, its invisible slave. Most people don't have a financial problem, they have a focus problem. They spend to soothe their emptiness, buy to fill silence, consume to escape themselves. But every purchase made for temporary relief sells your future freedom. Think of it this way. Every unconscious expense waters the ground of scarcity. Every wise decision lays a brick in the foundation of independence. Financial transformation doesn't start in your wallet, it starts in your mind. It begins when you realize that freedom costs discipline. The Stoic practice is clear. Learn to order your relationship with money, just as you would organize your mind. There are 4 financial virtues, and each corresponds to a day of the week. Monday, learn to earn. This is the beginning, the momentum, the movement. Tuesday, learn to spend, give conscious direction to what comes in. Wednesday, learn to save, create space, delay immediate pleasure for something greater. Thursday, learn to invest, make time and effort work for you. Friday, the result isn't luck, it's the consequence of living well throughout the week. From that point on, money ceases to be a burden and becomes a tool. You stop chasing it and start walking alongside it. And when that happens, even simplicity gains value. Here is your practice. For the next 7 days, write down everything you receive and everything you spend. Not to punish yourself, but to see clearly. Notice which expenses bring peace and which bring guilt. This simple observation is the beginning of freedom, because no one changes what they don't see. Benjamin Franklin said, "He who lives on less than he earns is rich. He who lives on more than he earns is poor, even if surrounded by gold." That truth hasn't changed with time. Prosperity isn't luck, it's consciousness. Money is only a reflection of how well you manage yourself. So, write in the comments. Today, I choose to prosper with awareness. Because that decision is what turns money into a tool, and your mind into direction. Abundance doesn't arise from chance, it arises from order, and whoever learns to organize within unknowingly begins to enrich themselves without. 5. Not everything deserves to enter your mind. Inside your mind, there is a gate. Through it pass all events. Words spoken, gestures seen, looks exchanged, criticisms received, even silences. But the problem is this: that gate isn't always under your control. Sometimes it opens to what hurts and closes to what teaches. It lets in what wounds and blocks what could bring peace. And that's how distorted judgments are born. You judge constantly, often without realizing it. People, situations, tones, intentions, every judgment, conscious or not, shapes how you feel, act, and live. Judgment is that gate. It decides what enters your mind and what stays out. Think of any ordinary day. You wake up late. Traffic jams. Your boss sends a sharp message. When you get home, your partner complains you forgot to wash the dishes. None of those events are inherently good or bad. What changes everything is what your mind allows through that gate. If you let in, "He hates me," "She only knows how to complain," the day collapses. But if you choose, "I can improve this," "Maybe she's tired," everything shifts. The same facts, two completely different realities. Because it's not the event that disturbs you, it's the meaning you assign. And when that gate is rusted shut by pride, anger, or insecurity, it opens to destruction and closes to healing. You start seeing threat where there is care, disdain where there is doubt, rejection where there is love. How many days have been ruined by something minor? How many conversations turned into arguments due to misinterpretations? How many times have you distanced yourself from someone who only wanted to help? Misjudging is opening the wrong door, reacting before understanding, answering without reflection. And the cost is high. You lose energy, confidence, time, and sometimes people you love. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but the judgments we make about them." Marcus Aurelius added, "If something external troubles you, the issue is in your interpretation, and that interpretation can be changed at any moment." These aren't just poetic phrases, they are tools. Training your judgment is like guarding the gate of your mind. The world remains the same, but what you allow to enter completely reshapes your inner life. So here is your challenge. For the next few days, observe what you let in. When something irritates you, ask, "Does this deserve to pass through my gate?" If the answer is no, close it. Breathe. Create a new interpretation. Remember, your mind is like a house. If you let anything in, you soon lose your calm. But if you learn to guard the entrance, everything around you changes, your environment, your energy, and how you see the world. Now commit to this in the comments. I choose what enters my mind. Because that phrase is more than a symbol. It's a daily reminder that your peace begins the moment you decide what your mind will allow to cross that threshold. 6. Stop giving space to others' opinions. How much of your life is ruled by the fear of what others will think? That fear is like an invisible chain. You can't see it, but it binds you. It stops you from acting, trying, or showing who you really are. How many dreams have you frozen because someone might judge you? How many times have you stayed silent to avoid displeasing others, or pretended to be fine to escape criticism? Little by little, you shape yourself to meet others' expectations and stop fitting into your own skin. Here's the strangest part. Often, that other person doesn't even exist. It's an imagined voice, a fabricated criticism. Still, you lower your head, retreat, sabotage yourself. And without realizing it, you end up living the life you believe you should, not the one you were born to live. Marcus Aurelius said, "It's foolish to suffer over the opinions of people who don't even know what is good or evil." He was right. Whoever lives seeking approval is always on their knees, even if they appear strong. They may smile outwardly, but inwardly they are exhausted, because nothing weighs more than the fear of disappointing others. And don't fool yourself, people will always talk. If you try something new, they'll call you crazy. If you stay silent, they'll say you withdrew. If you share your achievements, they'll label you arrogant. If you fail, they'll laugh. No matter what you do, there will always be a judgment. So tell me, will you remain their hostage? The opinion of others is not a sentence. It doesn't define who you are or what you can become. The Stoics taught that the only opinion that truly matters is your own conscience. After all, at the end of the day, it's with your own conscience that you lay your head on the pillow. You don't need to be rebellious to be free. You just need to be authentic. Stop lying to yourself to fit into small places. Do you remember that project you shelved? That course you postponed? That idea you hid from ridicule? All of that is your life, waiting for you to stop asking permission to exist. Seneca said, "To be despised by someone who has no value is a compliment." And so it is. Being criticized by certain people is proof you're on the right path, the path of courage and authenticity. You don't need the world to understand you. You only need to be loyal to yourself, because whoever lives to please everyone silently hates themselves. And whoever has the courage to be authentic may not be understood, but they respect themselves. For the next 7 days, notice how many decisions you make just to please others. At each moment, ask, "Is this what I want, or what they expect of me?" Your answers will show you where your freedom begins. 7. Control your irritation level. Irritation isn't bad luck. It's a sign of poor internal calibration. When your tolerance is low, even small details become storms. It's not the world against you. It's you demanding the world obey your script. Irritation grows in invisible layers: poor sleep, a packed schedule, rigid expectations, too many goals for one day. Individually, none explode, but together, they increase friction. Then, a tiny unforeseen event isn't just an accident. It's the trigger that reveals a system already at its limit. 8. Think with clarity. Irritation equals reality minus rigid expectations. The more you demand absolute control, the more vulnerable you become. The more flexible you are, the more space you create within. The Stoics called this self-mastery. It's not about hardening yourself. It's about widening the gap between what happens and how you respond. Seneca warned, "Anger seems like strength, but it's weakness in disguise. It gives you speed, but steals your direction. You win the argument and lose the day." Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "When someone irritates you, remember your own flaws. That memory humbles the ego and restores calm." Humility is the antidote to irritation. Treat irritation like a volume knob, not an on-off switch. You don't need to silence it, you need to lower it. And you do this before the conflict. By sleeping better, saying no to excess, distributing your tasks wisely, and accepting that some things are beyond your control. When friction arises, use the 3 Ps. Pause. Take 3 slow breaths. Your body relaxes. Your mind returns. Question. Ask, will this matter in an hour, in a day, in a month? If not, release it. Proceed, respond only to what's necessary, and in the softest tone possible. If your response can wait, let it. Time is a quiet advisor. It speaks softly. Remember, irritation is a double loss, of peace and of power. Whoever controls their state controls their actions, decisions, and energy. True mastery isn't about silencing the other. It's refusing to sell yourself cheaply to every provocation. Here is your Stoic challenge. For the next 7 days, make a daily commitment to expand your margin. Sleep better. Eat simply. Take a 10-minute screen-free break. Choose a difficult conversation, but hold it at the lowest volume. Delay a decision after feeling irritated, and after 24 hours, reconsider. Then write one line, what irritated me versus what actually mattered. You'll see that most of the time, it was just friction, not priority. Because peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the presence of self-control. And whoever learns to lower the volume within cannot be invaded from without. 9. Care for yourself before caring for the world. From a young age, you may have been taught that thinking of yourself is selfish, that the right thing is to help, please, and always be available. But there's a silent limit, and when crossed, altruism turns into exhaustion. The Stoics understood this. They taught that true strength comes from inner order. Trying to fix the world before fixing yourself is like mopping the floor while the tap is still running. Without self-care, what emerges isn't generosity, it's burnout. When you give without balance, you begin to help with resentment. You start to crave recognition. You smile while emptying yourself from within. The principle is simple. You can't repair a roof if the foundation is cracked. You can't light anyone's way if you're living in darkness. You can't save someone from the storm if you're still learning to swim. Marcus Aurelius understood this. Before ruling Rome, he wrote to himself, "Master your mind, and you will master the empire." That phrase reveals the essence of true power. Self-control is the starting point of all leadership, all relationships, all impact. Simone de Beauvoir said, "The most effective way to change the world is to begin with ourselves." And that is exactly it. Caring for yourself is the first act of responsibility. It's not selfishness, it's survival. It's understanding that before you can pour into others, you must first fill your own cup. So write in the comments, "I care for myself because I'm worth it." Because the person who treats themselves with respect teaches the world how to treat them too. 10. Guard your energy like a warrior. Imagine your energy as a sword. Would a warrior throw it away carelessly? Would they fight with a dull blade? Of course not. Yet every day you hand over your energy to meaningless conversations, toxic relationships, and endless distractions. The warrior guards their weapon fiercely. You must guard your energy the same way, with intention, with wisdom, with honor, because your energy is finite and sacred, and once spent, it cannot be recovered. Jim Rohn said, "Energy flows where attention goes." So where are you directing yours? To gossip? To comparison? To drama? To people who drain rather than inspire? Then you're fighting with a broken sword. The Stoics trained rigorously. They didn't waste their focus. They protected their peace, not out of isolation, but out of strategy. Just as an army regroups after battle, you must withdraw to restore, reflect, and renew. Use solitude to recharge. Use it to cut ties with what no longer serves you. Use it to reconnect with your values, your goals, and your deepest self. Because when you protect your energy, you preserve your ability to create, to love, to grow, and that protection isn't selfish, it's essential. No one can serve from an empty cup. So write in the comments, "I guard my energy with honor," because true strength begins with knowing what and who deserves access to your soul. 11. Live by your own rules. The world has rules, but they weren't written for you. They were crafted for the average, the predictable, the obedient. But you were not meant to fit in. You were meant to stand apart, to walk your own path. Living by others' rules kills your authenticity. It tells you, sit down, be quiet, conform. But the cost is high. You lose your voice, your passion, your uniqueness. The Stoics called this autonomy, the state of being governed by your own reason, not by external pressure. You don't need permission to exist. You don't need validation to live your truth. All you need is the courage to say, "This is who I am, and I will live accordingly." So write in the comments, "I live by my own rules," because the only life worth living is the one you design yourself. 12. Build what only you can see. Great things begin in darkness, where no one sees. The artist paints in silence. The writer crafts sentences unseen. The athlete trains while the world sleeps. Their work is invisible, but real. And that's the power of focused effort. You don't need an audience to begin. You don't need applause to persist. You only need conviction and the willingness to labor in silence. The world will mock your dreams. They'll say, "It's impossible, unrealistic, a waste of time." But solitude teaches you to ignore them. It gives you space to grow without explanation, to evolve without commentary. You plant seeds in soil others can't see, water them in secret, and wait. Because the most powerful transformations happen unseen. They don't announce themselves. They arrive fully formed. So write in the comments, "I am building in silence," because whoever builds in private doesn't need to prove anything in public. They already know what they've earned through quiet dedication, relentless effort, and unwavering faith. Final reflection. Focus is power. Focus isn't about doing more. It's about doing only what matters. It's about protecting your mind, your energy, your time. It's about saying yes to your purpose and no to everything else. When you master your focus, you master your life. Because the world belongs to those who know how to direct their attention. And when you stop scattering your energy, you become unstoppable. So commit to this. I choose focus. I choose peace. I choose to build my life on purpose. Because the moment you stop consuming is the moment you start creating.